Hi, and welcome to NRCC Business Talk. I'm here with Maurits Dohmen, the chief architect, the CEO, the guru, the guy who does it so well for so many years. And I'm not I'm not kissing ass here. I'm just really happy to be with him because I've seen his events and I really enjoyed it, which is not very often in the business community, where normally what's happening, you get bored. Sometimes to death, but you survive because there's food. So, Maurits.
Yes, Luciano, thank you.
Yeah, I know you don't like the introduction, but there you go. I had to unload.
Yeah.
How do you do it? Why? I mean, how did you start at this? Because it's different from what everybody else is doing.
You refer to the events?
Yeah.
By going to the other events and
getting bored.
Kind of getting bored, like what you just described.
Mm-hmm.
So I took a different approach. I'm kind of a theatrical person, so I find also if you come to an NRCC event and it's a dedicated event, so we're not talking about network drinks, but about Orange Night or Night of the SMEs or CEO dinner, it has to be more than just a dinner. So together with the team, we try to create an evening where you go out to dinner while you are at a rock concert, and in the meantime, you have the feeling you're at the movies. So we add these things to the existing part, which is just a dinner and mingling with other people. And this is what makes it different.
You're providing content, basically. Most people are treating you with food. You give them food for the mind.
Yeah.
Where is it coming from? Do you invent it? Who is taking part in, organizing the happenings at the NRCC events?
First, interesting to know is that I am a great fan of Pink Floyd. And as you well know, Pink Floyd is known for their elaborate stage and concerts. So I have something with screens, lights, and this kind of thing. So what usually happens is that, let's say a year before an event takes place, I drive a lot for the chamber because I have to go outside Bucharest to Timișoara, to Iași, to Brașov, to Constanța, Cluj. So I spend many kilometers, hours in my car, and I listen also to a lot of music.
It's more hours than kilometers in Romania.
Exactly.
Because of the roads. So,
this is why I like to travel at night, actually. So it's much shorter, the time when you travel at night. But I listen then to music, and then some certain song sticks in my head and starts shaping up how that would fit in an event and what kind of visuals should go with this. And then usually when I shape that up, I call my team enthusiastically trying to explain them what I have in my mind. And that usually is the first obstacle because in general they don't see it like that. They're also younger than me, so they have a different referral.
They should be more open, shouldn't they?
No, in general, they think if I come with an idea, it's a lot of work. There's a lot to be done and to be coordinated.
I can understand that, being put to work is not popular in any culture or place.
No, but I'm just testing the idea, so to say. And based on their feedback, then we shape it up. And from that moment on, a whole lot of things start to happen. So when we have music, we like that music to be performed live. So we have a person that we approach, that we tell them we want these particular songs to be played note for note. That person then is actually going to find musicians that can execute that. And in the meantime, we go to a designer that designs all our visuals and movies for events and tell them you have to make a movie based on this, this, and this. And
because
we brief her.
We want to have this content delivered.
Exactly. So these parties are then separately working with each other. And then, let's say a day before the event, when we actually do the setup, setting up the screen, the lights, and so on, we are receiving the WhatsApp recording from the band of the songs they were supposed to do. Is the only time when I can actually intervene. For example, call the band and tell them, I'm sorry, but the guitar player.
You're fired.
No, they should play a bit rougher, or in the worst case, it doesn't sound at all like the song. And on the day itself, we start to get the movies that are connected to the song. And then the interesting part is that the band is behind the screen, because I don't like instruments and people during a dinner in front of the screen. So the band is behind the screen. A movie is played while they are playing the song on the screen. They have no idea what's on that movie, and it's actually for us the first time that we actually see the whole thing coming together. So
now, it's not only just that. I mean, I've been to your events. We had a robot on stage who was moving water bottles. We had this Italian guy who connected music to business and rhythms to. So these guys are bringing in ideas to the people in the room. How do they receive them? What did they tell you afterwards?
The people that attend the events?
Yeah.
How they well, you are referring actually to the NRCC live talk at our, some of our bigger events.
Which I'm brilliantly doing.
Yeah. Coincidentally, you're doing that also. And there we try to provide the audience that evening something that is, you know, half entertaining and half of interest for their work. So the two examples that you mentioned for the Italian professor that conducts at an orchestra and gives speeches all around the world why we like certain types of music or why we don't, that it has to do with brain patterns and so on. We find that interesting. That is interesting to watch because it goes together also with some music that people recognize. And people generally after the event remember after 2 years still this particular Italian because we had him once rotating 2 years later and some people still were talking about the 2 years before and recognized him.
Also liked very much Mr. Talpes.
Yeah.
Because it was such a great speaker and at your event, it was nothing official, there was no media, there was no TV lights, nothing. And he was able to be himself. And I think he revealed much more and gave us much more in terms of insight into a large business.
But we try to, although the events are very formal, we try to still have them presented in a kind of informal way. That allows, for example, Mr. Talpes to talk more than only what he does normally in interviews, but also more privately. And this is, we are a community. So as a community, we all want to hear these things, not only how the business is going and why he has his company registered in the Netherlands, but also his personal side. This is why we ask him to come on stage.
This is also happening at the tables.
Yeah.
People opening up.
Yeah.
You know, getting to know on a personal level. What was the major, in your view, what is the major gain you're coming back home with after one of your events?
When you refer to tables, I think you specifically mean the night of the SMEs.
Also, yeah.
Where people rotate.
Yeah. But also the dinners.
Yeah. Well, we have some secrets for this that I'm not so sure if I should mention them, but we can always edit them out.
We can always cut it off.
It's not a problem. But so
you put something in the food.
I go to a lot of events. So as a director of a chamber, you get invited to many. So there are many things at events that, although not planned, they go in a certain way that I don't like personally.
What is it that you don't like at events, formal events?
Okay, just for example, let's say you go to a big celebration where the dinner for 200 people, you are invited at the table. There is this moment when you enter the sala that they release you. They tell you you are at table number 12, and then when you arrive at table number 12, there already some people are seated. They are not told where to sit, so there are some gaps, so it becomes a bit uncomfortable. These people, they don't always feel the need to introduce themselves, or if you're later. So at my events, just a detail, I make sure that as soon as you come into the sala, you are guided to the table. And you arrive at the table where the table seatings are already done. And whether we do that with sponsors, that we tell the sponsor who do you want to sit where, or we do it ourselves. But it are these tiny little things that make the flow of an event better. You arrive in a much better feeling at the table when you arrive and you get a glass of wine and somebody takes you by the hand, puts you at the table, then you're rather kicked inside of the sala and you have to wait. It are these kind of things. I also have a problem all the time that if you go to an event, you have to stay till the end. I mean, it's not a birthday party where you can just leave. So you have to make sure that people find it interesting to stay, and you have to analyze also then who is with who on the table. So we at the NRCC make an effort before each event, who we sit with each other at the table, to make sure that certain level is with certain level, so that people don't get bored, so that conversations are going. And on top of that...
So you're matching people at
Yeah,
the
but
table.
they don't really know that. We do that. So the night before the event, because you know how it goes, many people confirm and at the night before they cancel. The night before the event, at 2 o'clock at night, when we are done with the setup, we are actually making all the table settings.
How many hours do you sleep before such an event?
Almost none.
Really?
Before a dedicated event, we start working at 4 o'clock in the afternoon at the location. We finish all the technical stuff, rehearsals at 2, 3 at night. If then we decide to still do also the table settings, which you might think you can do that in the morning, but in the morning, everything. So, yeah, I go to bed at 4 or 5 at night, and then the next day I have to wake up early because it's show day.
Yeah.
And
but
then
you don't show it.
Well, I look much younger than I actually am.
Okay.
Thank you.
Now, going back to when you started,
Yeah.
you were, what, 80 years in Romania now?
I live in Romania for 8 years.
8 years.
But I'm with the chamber for 4.5.
Membership 4 years ago, membership today.
Yeah.
What is the gap? What is the difference? How
Well,
many people did you brought in? And
No,
companies?
it's not only what I brought in.
Well, everybody as a team.
Yeah, so 4.5 years ago when I started, the chamber had around 60 paying members. I mean, every chamber has more members, but we are talking about what actually paid. 60. And now we are over 200.
Wow.
So we are a member-based organization. So the first thing I did was, of course, listen to my board, but also listen very carefully to what members expect from the NRCC.
How much do they pay and what do they get for the money?
What they pay, it depends on the type of membership, which depends on the size of your company. So we have roughly 3 types: smaller companies that pay around 350 euro, medium-sized companies that pay around 650 euro, and large companies, large members like Philips, Heineken and so on, they pay 1,200 euro. The benefits for all of them are the same, with the exception that the largest members, the corporate patron members, they are invited each year to the CEO dinner, which is solely for the CEOs and spouses of these largest members. For the rest, they all benefit in the same way. They are accessible also and approachable in the exact same way. Also in our board, any member of the NRCC once a year can put himself forward at the General Assembly to be elected in the board. We don't have appointings or these kind of things, or that the size of company matters the weight you put in the board. We are pretty Dutch, to say like that, and transparent, so everybody can have a go at it.
Now, what do you get if you're a member? What is your, I don't know, output? What do you take from these events throughout the year?
We try to understand that if you have over 200 members, the trap of an executive team is to want to please the bulk. So the trap here is that when you organize an event or a field trip, that you keep saying, oh, there are not enough people. Now, I've learned that every member of the chamber, despite the fact that they're all in it to grow their connections, so eventually grow their business, they all have different needs. So if I go to Bulgaria with 8 members that are interested in meeting Bulgarian companies, then for me it's a success, because there are apparently 8 companies that wanted that, so we do that. If I do a night of the SMEs and there come 100 people because they are all the SMEs and also external SMEs, we do a good job because it shows that what we had in mind as content and as an event for them. So if you are a member, you have an array of things you can choose from, ranging from a knowledge center where you present your expertise to members, to NRCC TV, where you get a professional interview that is distributed by the NRCC.
Oh, so you have another guy that does professional interviews?
Yeah, that's you.
Oh, no.
No.
No, I got you
You're
to
the amateur.
say, I got you to say I'm a professional. Thank you.
Yeah.
Moving on.
But, yeah.
Okay.
So there are things to promote your company. There are things that are about sharing knowledge. There are things about going to other cities. There are things to visit places. It's connections. We offer this whole palette. So we are not only focusing on, for example, helping Dutch companies operate better in Romania. We try to help all our members, and we do that by offering all kinds of activities that are useful for them.
Now, there are people who shouldn't be members, people in companies.
Who shouldn't be members?
Who shouldn't be a member of NRCC? A company or...
A company that doesn't pay the membership fee shouldn't be a member of the NRCC.
I like that.
In general, a member gets balloted by the board. That sounds very heavy, but in my 4.5 years, I don't remember one time that the company got rejected.
You had no rejections?
No rejections, but what is clear to say is that as any business chamber, we check if a new member, if there's an applicant of new membership, we check the company if there is a record of I don't know, crime or fraud or these kind of things. That we check.
So you do check that?
We do check. And for the rest, there are no rules. You don't have to be a Dutch company to be a member of our chamber. Half of our members are Romanian companies. So,
but the language is English?
Yeah, the language is English.
Always?
Always. So at the events also, at the tables, we speak English. We don't want the Romanians to talk Romanian and the Dutch Dutch, so we just speak a common language, which is English, and everybody in the chamber speaks that very well.
So basically, it's another kind of an interaction academy, if I may say so, because it forces you to open up to English and to international context.
Yeah, that also, yeah. But the misconception about us as a chamber, we notice that when we go far away. So, for example, we went to Bacau.
Okay.
We have a member there. So we met the mayor also, and then we present ourselves to the local community. And then you start noticing that we cannot do it in English because they don't speak English.
Okay.
So then if you want to explain what the chamber is doing, you have to do it in Romanian. But yeah, so if you want to be in the chamber and make use of it, English is the language to go with.
Next time you take me to Bacau, I can also do the Moldavian accent, so don't worry about that.
Well, we've been there twice. I don't know if we go back there soon, but I will let you know.
All right. Now, I know other chambers of commerce in Romania are involved in trying to influence policies, trying to influence governments, and trying to have more like a public stance towards civic activism.
Yeah.
You're not like that.
No, the official position of the NRCC is that we are a business community for our members, and that we speak out when it's business related. Although I agree with you that in Romania, politics and business, they are getting strangled a lot. I can tell you that in the board, when something happens in Romania, there is this balance between the Romanian board members that feel that we as an NRCC should speak out on something, Dutch board members, or I should say board members from Dutch companies, that are more careful with that. I'm kind of in the middle because I live here also, so I also have an opinion.
You're married to a Romanian?
I'm married to a Romanian, yeah. This is why I live here, and this is also why I don't speak Romanian.
Okay, ball and chain, the old ball and chain.
But we have a system in the chamber that if something of importance happen, that within the board there is a quick meeting to see what we do. But so far, what we usually do is that AmCham or goes on the barricades and say something, and we put kind of our signature underneath it also. So far, this didn't change yet, although in the board from time to time are these discussions that they would like to see change. But I think they will be going on forever, and that there will always be this balance between the Romanian board members that feel that we should speak up, and that the Dutch companies that have a sort of a different interest.
What's happening this fall? Events, places to go to, what do you recommend?
We have in November...
What are you looking forward to?
25 November, we have the Night of the SMEs.
I'm not so sure I can be there, but there you go.
You cannot be on the Night of the SMEs? That's too bad, because we already announced it.
Okay.
Actually, I said 25 November, I'm mistaken. It's 20 November is the Night of the SMEs, and 26 November is the gala dinner in Cluj. So the Night of the SMEs is in Bucharest.
Right.
It's for SMEs in Bucharest, and the gala dinner in Cluj is where we try to connect Bucharest to Cluj.
As you did for the last 2 years, right?
The gala dinner we started last year.
We never had a gala dinner in Cluj,
but we did the Night of the SMEs also in Cluj.
Okay.
That's what you...
Cluj seems to be shaping up as the second business capital of Romania.
Now seems to be shaping up, has been that for quite some time.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. How many companies are hailing from Cluj in NRCC?
At the moment we have around 25 members from Cluj, something like that. There should be more.
Entertainment and content part this fall, what's happening?
We have the
Are you still listening to music in your head? You're thinking,
no, we have these two big dedicated events, which for us it's important. And we have planned also a trip to Bulgaria to meet the Bulgarian Chamber of Commerce. That's in October. And for the rest, we have the normal network drinks and knowledge centers. But everybody who is connected to the NRCC will receive notifications by email, newsletter, or Facebook.
So we're having fun this November.
In October and November, we will have some fun, yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, Maurits Dohmen, the guy who is putting the fun into NRCC and also the content and the reasons to go there and not clear your mind, fill it up. This has been NRCC Business Talk with Lucia Mândruță and Maurits Dohmen. Thank you for sharing.